Hello and good morning. Welcome to the Independence edition of Serious Business. I am your host, Sherese Bramble. What does independence really mean? When a nation gains political independence, it means that it is sovereign. It has, full powers to elect its own politicians. We have our own flag. We have our own coat of arms. We draft our own constitution and legislation. 32 years ago, in 1981, the nation of Antigua and Barbuda gained its political independence from Britain. But what exactly does independence mean for members of the LGBT, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender community in the state of Antigua and Barbuda? It means that the nation, the politicians, and the people who draft laws are free, are free to deny members of this community basic human rights. For instance, the right to marry, the right to adopt children, the right to be recognized according to your gender identity in your workplace, the right to be identified as the gender of your choice in the school you attend. We have seen that in Britain, legislation has been passed which hinders and prevents and makes illegal acts of discrimination against people in the LGBT community. In addition to this, a law which made criminal sexual acts between two men in Britain has been repealed for decades now. Yet still, in the nation of Antigua and Barbuda, we have laws in our Sexual Offences Act which make criminal anal intercourse. Yes, in the year 2013, on our 32nd anniversary of independence, two individuals in the LGBT community are not free to choose who they want to have sex with. How can a nation try to legislate consensual sexual acts between two adult males? It is not right and it is unconstitutional. In the United Kingdom and many other countries in the developed world, gender identity is recognized in workplaces and in schools. Individuals who choose to identify themselves as a gender that is different from the one they were born are accepted and are recognized. In the year 2011, the United Nations Human Rights Council passed a resolution against the discrimination of individuals based on sexual orientation or gender identity. In the nation of Antigua and Barbuda, it seems our independence has meant that we can turn a blind eye to developments that are happening in the developed world in countries like the United States, Canada, and the UK. Independence has meant that we can hold on to archaic laws that criminalize acts between two consenting adults. Independence has meant that we can refuse to draft legislation such as equal opportunity in the workplace, equal opportunity marriage, and refuse to draft hate crime legislation. What exactly should members of the LGBT community expect in an independent nation? One, you should be free from discrimination in your place of work. You should be free to express your gender identity as you see it fit. No one should tell you you should act like a man, you should be a woman. Your expression of your gender identity should be entirely up to you. As long as you follow dress codes which are in keeping with the gender you've identified yourself with. You should not be denied employment, promotion, or any other benefit based on your sexual orientation or gender identity. 2. You should be free from discrimination in the places you do business. You should be treated with every respect that is given to any other member of the public. When you go to a supermarket, your bags should be packed. You should receive the same level of customer service as anyone else in that business establishment. When your rights are being infringed upon, you should not be ashamed to make a complaint. You should pay no attention to the naysayers that will accuse you of being a drama queen or wanting attention. You must fight for your rights at all times, and you should take it to the highest level. Thirdly, you should not be discriminated against in your schools. You should have the right to be yourself among your peers. You should have the right, and I know this is very controversial, to identify yourself as the gender you feel fit in your school uniforms. I remember seeing a little girl in an artist comprehensive school uniform, and it was clear that this little girl was a lesbian. Or I should say she was a man, because it looked so odd that this little girl was wearing a skirt. I mean, everything about her was a boy. Why do we as a nation why do we as a nation have to force a little girl who believes she's a boy, who acts like a boy, who looks like a boy, why do we have to force her to wear a dress? What are we proving? To me, it is cruelty in the highest order. Fourthly, we should not be discriminated when it comes to matters of the law. Although we have many police officers in the nation of Antigua and Barbuda who are fair in their day-to-day activities and do not discriminate, we still have a rogue few who, in their attempt to be cool and to identify with a certain section of our population, they deal very unfairly with members of the LGBT community. I want to say to our members that you should not be discriminated by policemen. When you make a report to the station, you are equal to any other person who makes a report. It should be dealt with, and you should be treated equitably. When it comes to the court, you must also be treated equitably. You should not be told to be a man if you identify yourself as a woman. No one has that right. It is your right to choose your gender identity. No policeman, no magistrate, no judge has the authority to choose a gender identity for you. Whenever this happens, you should fight it to the full extent of the law. There are options available. You can report the person to their superior, whoever the superior is, or you can take them before the courts. If you speak to the average Antiguan man on the street, he will paint a picture that Antigua is a country filled with very few gays, lesbians, and transgender. This is far from the truth. There are thousands of gays, lesbians, and transgender people in Antigua and Barbuda. That is a fact. The LGBT community in Antigua is the thread which holds the fabric of our society together. We are very powerful people. We are policemen. We are bank managers. We are soldiers. You name it. We are lawyers. We are doctors. We are entrepreneurs. We are ministers of religion. You name it, every profession I can point out at least one individual in a management position. As a matter of fact, we have three members currently sitting in the lower house of parliament. That is a fact. We have at least three elected members in the lower house of parliament. That is a significant number in a small state such as Antigua and Barbuda. So why is it that if we have so many powerful members in so many key positions in our country, why do we still face so much discrimination and violation of our rights? In closing, fellow citizens of Antigua and Barbuda, if we claim to be a truly independent nation, we should be better off for our sovereignty. We should ensure that all of our citizens, regardless of their sexual identity or orientation, are treated equitably. We should not have it be said that nations who we've gained our independence from are in better standing as it comes to human rights than we are. Our politicians, therefore, must take the bold steps necessary to draft legislation and to execute them. Legislation that will make Antigua a beautiful place to live for every one of its citizens. Happy independence. I am Sherese.